All right, let's talk about something that affects every single one of us, our tax money. Today, we're going to become data detectives. Our mission? To track that money and figure out what is really going on with public projects in our communities. Especially the ones that just seem to disappear. Let's dive in.
I mean, we've all seen it, right? The road that suddenly stops. The foundation for a community hall that's been gathering weeds for years. Well, it's frustrating. And it makes you wonder, where in the world did all that money actually go? And more importantly, is there anything we can do about it?
And this quote right here just nails it. The real key to demanding accountability isn't just about getting angry. It's about getting organized. It's about counting, it's about tracking, and it's about building a record of the facts that is just impossible to deny. So here's our game plan. First, we'll talk about what I call the ghost project problem. Then we'll get into how to build a master list of these projects. After that, I'll show you the data detective toolkit you'll need. We'll learn how to follow the money. And finally, how to turn all that data into real action. Okay, so what exactly is this ghost project problem? Well, in a lot of places, like Meghalaya, for instance, there's no single public list that tracks all of these unfinished or abandoned projects. Just think about that for a second. We're talking about hundreds of millions, maybe billions, spent on projects that only exist in scattered files in different government offices. They effectively become invisible, making it nearly impossible for anyone to see the true scale of the problem. So, if the government doesn't have a master list, well, then we're just going to have to build one ourselves. The goal here is to create one single, comprehensive inventory, a master list that drags every single one of these ghost projects out of the shadows and into the bright, clear light of day.
And like any good investigation, the very first step is to define what you're looking for. You can't track everything, right? So you have to be smart and decide what really counts. What are the key projects we absolutely need to be watching?
To keep things manageable and focused, we're going to target the big-ticket items. We're looking at publicly funded projects that cost over 1 crore rupees. The major stuff, roads and bridges, big water supply systems, schools, power projects. This is where the serious money is and where the biggest impact is felt when things go wrong. And this is what our master list, our project register, actually looks like. See? It's so much more than just a name. It captures the sanctioned cost versus the funds released, who the contractor is, and, crucially, its current status. This is exactly how you turn those frustrating stories into cold, hard data. Okay, so we know what we want to build, but the big question is, how do we get the information? Well, this next section is your toolkit. We're going to open it up and look at the 3 main tools you can use to find the facts and start filling in that master list. Your first, and honestly, your most powerful tool is the Right to Information Act, or RTI. It lets any citizen request information directly from the government. You can file very specific requests, asking for lists of all works over 1 crore, progress reports, contractor names, even the official reasons for delays. Oh, and here's a pro tip. Always ask for the data in a machine-readable format, like a CSV or spreadsheet. Trust me, it will make your life so much easier later on. Tool number 2 is just using what's already out there in the open. You'd be surprised. There are a ton of public online dashboards for big government schemes, things for rural roads or water supply. You can even check project pages from funders like the World Bank. This is a fantastic way to get a head start and pre-fill a bunch of your register before you even file a single RTI. And finally, your third tool is a real gem, official audit reports from the Comptroller and Auditor General, or the CAG. This is the government's own watchdog. These reports are an absolute goldmine. You just have to know what to look for. Search for keywords like unfruitful expenditure or abandoned works. This will lead you straight to what we call anchor cases, projects that have already been officially flagged for major problems. So, once you've started gathering all this data, the next phase begins, the analysis. It's time to put on your detective hat, follow the money, and connect that paper trail to what's actually happening or not happening on the ground. The key strategy here is what's called triangulation. You're cross-referencing information from different places. So first, you find the contract value on a procurement portal. Then, you track the actual money that's been released through government financial systems. You check to see if they've submitted their utilization certificates, which are supposed to prove the money was spent correctly. And then, the most important step of all, you compare all of that financial data with what you can physically see at the project site. And really, this is what it all boils down to. On one side, you have the sanctioned amount,
That's the big promise, the official budget. On the other side, you have the funds released. That's the reality of what's been paid out. The gap between that promise and the reality, especially when a project is just sitting there unfinished, well, that's where the story is. Now, to make sure your dataset is rock solid and credible, you need clear, objective rules. You can't just say a project feels abandoned. You need evidence. Has there been zero activity for 6 months? Has the contractor packed up and taken all their equipment away? Is the official completion date long gone with no extension filed? These are the kinds of observable facts that give your findings real weight. Which brings us to our last and I think most important section. Why are we doing all of this work? It's about taking this investigation and turning it into a powerful tool, a force for demanding genuine change and real accountability. Because right now, let's be honest, complaints about these projects are usually just noise. They're scattered allegations, a story you hear from a friend, a complaint in the newspaper. They're way too easy for officials to just brush off as isolated incidents. But when you follow these steps, you transform all that noise into a single, powerful data set. It's not just a collection of stories anymore. It's a unified register that shows a systemic pattern, one that's organized, it's evidence-based, and it is absolutely impossible to ignore. The ultimate goal here is to create what you could call a court-ready data set. This isn't just some list you made. It's a verified, statewide register that turns allegations into evidence. It creates an undeniable paper trail, and what it does is it shifts the burden of proof. It forces the government to either agree with your findings or provide their own documents to prove you wrong, and that sets the stage for real consequences. So I'll leave you with this question. What happens when the truth is finally, truly on the record, verified, undeniable, and out in the open for everyone to see? It changes the whole conversation. It moves us from a place of helpless frustration to empowered action. And that is the first, most critical step toward making sure our money actually builds our future, not just more monuments to waste. Thanks for watching.